What is the power of communication in human relationship? How do marketers convince prospective buyers to purchase their products? How do companies win their own dedicated buyers of their products? Many more questions of such will arise, and the answer lies in appropriate messaging. Appropriate messaging. So I'm here to discuss the power of appropriate messaging in affiliate marketing. The power of appropriate messaging in affiliate marketing. Now, naturally speaking, I'm a communicator. Professionally, I'm into journalism and communications. I'm into marketing communications, and so quite well understand the topic I'm here to share. In a nutshell, to you who is into affiliate marketing, especially our newbies. As a newbie, it's important that you understand the power that proper messaging carries in your quest to make a success of your enterprise. If you must win that customer, if you must convince that customer to purchase or buy or patronize your product, you must be able to convince that will be that prospect, that lead. You must be able to convince them to close that deal through appropriate, effective, and effectual messaging. And in this instance, what is messaging? It is your style or system or the structure or nomenclature or the chemistry of your pattern of communication. I have used several words there. I said chemistry, I said nomenclature, I also said pattern. In other words, give and take, the ground norm is that messaging is that your style, the choice of words, the sequence of words, and those words must be the appropriate words to convey the appropriateness of what you are selling. So as a marketer, it's important that you understand the power, the potency, the effectiveness of proper messaging if you must win converts. It happens in daily life, not only in marketing. Even if you are a classroom teacher, if you must teach your students well, if they must understand you, it means you must convey the thoughts, whether theories, hypotheses, theorems, around that subject, around that cause. You must use the most appropriate and effective words to interpret, to explain, to teach, and to convey all of that to your students. In everyday living, people communicate. And to be understood, you must communicate appropriately on the topic at hand. For instance, you will not bring discussion on a textbook or e-book when what is on hand is either Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Like the other day I came with a bottle of cashew nuts and a bottle of ground nuts. If you must make sense in communicating each of those different products, it simply means that you must use words that describe, that relate to, that explains, that interprets that product. You will not import or deploy or use any word that does not relate to groundnuts if you're discussing groundnuts. So in everyday human communication, we use all sorts and manner of messaging to send across the essence of what we have in mind. So now, zeroing into affiliate marketing, there are products. You have your product. There are two kinds of messaging I will discuss here. Two kinds of messaging I'll discuss here. The first is messaging that conveys the values of the product. So what I will call product promotional messaging. Product promotional messaging. The next one I will discuss after that is marketers selling messaging. Affiliate marketers selling messaging. Now, back to the first, which is product promotional messaging. That one is tied to the product values. What value does the product bring to a would-be buyer? So in packaging the value of that product, whether nutritional, whether health, educational, spiritual, psychological, emotional, any type of value, you must be point blank. You must use all the jargons that relate to that product, all the journalists, all the terms that relate to that product. That is part of the messaging to promote, to describe the values of that product. So it is called product promotional messaging. It must be point blank, it must be appropriate, it must be valid, it must be truthful, it must be sincere. Let nobody hear you promote take the product's promotional messaging and buys it and finds that all that were part of that were all lies. There will be consequences. The buyer will lose interest in you. The buyer interest will slump in affiliate marketing. Next time when he sees any marketing product on any product online, because already the messaging of the previous product did not match what it was meant to be, they lose interest in everything digital marketing, and that ought not to be. They also will lose interest in you, that next time when they see you promote any product online, they will disdainfully ignore you. They won't even want to come near what you are saying. So your product promotional messaging must be direct, must be valid, must be sincere, must be truthful. It must appropriately interpret, explain, convey all the values that that product carries. That's one. Second one is affiliate marketers messaging. What are you going to message to people? What are you going to send to people who will listen, who will hear you? You are going to speak in a manner as to convince them why they need, of all products, this particular product. Like I said the other time, you must have studied the product. You must have done extra research to find out extra values around the product. And then you must now arrange the pattern of your communication. That is your messaging. Let me tell you something. I'll return to that. In human history, there have been several characters who understood the power of proper messaging. They had used it to rally around countries to go to war. They had deployed elements of propaganda in all of that. But in this case, we are not discussing propaganda. In human history, in warfare, in international politics, we find characters who understood the potency, the power of proper communication. Adolf Hitler of Germany, Mussolini of Italy. Recently, Barack Obama of the United States of America, and many others were men who understood the capacity of proper messaging. In politics, we find a lot of politicians who also understand the power, the potency, the effectiveness of proper messaging. So they target it, they focus on it, they arrange it appropriately, and they woo people. That nations have gone to war because a man somewhere used appropriate messaging with elements of propaganda to convince their countrymen and women that, see, we must go to war. At the moment, Vladimir Putin of Russia is working to crush Ukraine, telling his home people that Ukraine is a terror base working against the Russian Federation. And so you find a lot of Russians who believe him. Effective messaging, though in this instance, bent to marry propaganda, to sustain an ongoing war against a smaller and lesser powerful nation. So back to what we're discussing. As an affiliate marketer, you must understand the power in appropriate messaging so that when you would have, there's a product, the creator or the merchant had already rallied support in by way of the content, the message that says this product can do this and that and that. Now, it is not left for you to speak, not to the product anymore, but to speak to would-be buyers. There are billions of people out there whom you need to convince. You need to convince them that, look, you need to get this product for so and so reason. Now, I repeat, the merchant or the creator of that product has done his part in the product's content, which I have labeled here, product promotional messaging. Now, it is not left for you to stretch that in your own way, to say this product can do this. But how do you push it out? How do you present it? That is where you must understand how to communicate to would-be buyers, as to convince them, because you are now, the other time I told you, you are a sales manager, you are a promotional manager, you are a marketing manager, and you must understand the wordings of that product. You must understand the language that defines that product. You must also be able to properly, effectively, and appropriately use the language, use the wordings, use all the innuendos, the metaphors, all that you need to deploy to convince, to woo, to convince, to win prospects to buy this. So it's important that for each product you want to push out, you want to promote, you design your own messaging. I have clearly delineated two messagings here. The product messaging, the product promotional messaging, which the creator would have achieved in the product content. Okay? Now, it is not left for you to design your own messaging as a marketer, as a promotional manager, as a sales and marketing manager, as an affiliate marketer, to now woo the buyers, would-be buyers, leads, prospects, as to why this product is the only one that will remove that pain point right in their neck. Okay, so you must understand the effectiveness and the efficiency of appropriate messaging, appropriate communication, so that you are able to convince would-be buyers, your prospects, your leads, that this is the only product that can solve that challenge, that can give them relief in that point of pain. So when you do that effectively, you'll find out that you will gradually become a master in winning clients. Why do companies spend time and resources in recruiting their sales and marketing personnel? Why? It is because they understand the power of proper messaging. Why do companies spend billions, even trillions of dollars in advertisements, visual advertisements, deploying both graphics and visuals to achieve an intended effect on customers is simply because they have studied and understood that they need to deploy every marketing arsenal available to woo, win, and convince buyers. Okay? So for you too, you must understand the language of sales and marketing. You must understand the jargons. You must understand the journalese of what you are into. Most appropriately, they must convey the effectiveness, the efficiency of that product. The product has its own messaging, packaged by the creator or the producer. You, as the seller now, as the promoter now, as the affiliate marketer promoting it, must also understand the essence of deploying your messaging in its appropriateness. Do not put a product, for instance, that is related to health, and then pick up a messaging that is not related to health. You will be doing yourself great harm, and that product shall not be marketed through you. Maybe through another person who would have done the appropriate messaging. If you needed someone, a friend, to help you out, maybe with some finance, your messaging must be appropriate. That messaging must include a gentle request, a reason for that request, when possibly you will refund, and why it is urgent. 4, request, a polite one, reason for it, how to refund, when to refund, and why it must be now. That is appropriate sequence of messaging. You cannot start that request from the last to say, I'll refund you this. Your friend will ask you, refund what? It is when you place before that your friend appropriately in order of argument. The request, why you need it, this amount I need, this one it will be returned, and why it has to be given to you now as you are requesting, that the friend will now see you have properly and appropriately related your request to him. And then it's not left for that your friend to decide, to determine, based on reasons available to him or circumstances before him, whether to give you or otherwise. You will not leave the line of that request and raise general discussion. No, your friend will just be lost. So what have I said today? In conclusion, I have said to you that as an affiliate marketer, if you must be effective in this marketing, which is so simple, it only requires that you message your would-be customers effectively. In what I have called here, the power of effective messaging, or the power of proper messaging. The power of proper messaging. When you message properly, appropriately, you will win customers. You convince would-be customers. But when your messaging is inappropriate, you will not win anyone. And how can you achieve that? Simple. I will discuss that in my next video. I hope that this helps you. Take action immediately. Get this video for your use. Share it. Tell your friends that we have discussed the power of appropriate messaging in affiliate marketing. That's what you need. Follow the actions right away, and you will see that your whole essence in this wonderful and amazing system shall be improved tremendously. I hope to see you next time.